International Epilepsy Day is an annual awareness day that takes place on the second Monday in February each year to shine light on the challenges faced by people living with epilepsy. The day was first organized by the International Bureau for Epilepsy and the International League Against Epilepsy to raise public awareness about epilepsy and its impact on individuals, families, and communities around the world. The day is commemorated in more than 120 countries all over the world. Dr. John Jabang, the Vice President of the Foundation for Epilepsy and Stigma Support Gambia, said this year's International Epilepsy Day focuses on the theme stigma, adding that epilepsy affects almost every aspect of the life of the person diagnosed with the disease, as the stigma attached to the condition is more difficult to deal with than the condition itself.
Epilepsy is a chronic, non-communicable neurologic disease. I cannot transfer it to somebody by my saliva. I cannot transfer it to somebody by the air that comes at the back, as some people think. I can't transfer it to somebody by any other means, except if I born that child and I have it and the child may have it. About 50 million people are living in this world with epilepsy. 50 million, that's a big number. But 80% of them live in low and middle income countries. 70% of them can be treated and be seizure-free. Can you imagine? That is a good number if you treat them. But you know what is interesting? According to WHO, 3/4 of all patients with epilepsy living in Africa don't have treatment.
Yaya Njai, the finance controller and principal trainer at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, said International Epilepsy Day exists to educate the general public about epilepsy and to teach people how to provide better care for people living with the disorder, can help reduce the stigma and discrimination faced by people living with epilepsy and ensure that they have access to same opportunities and rights as everyone else.
If you are a person with epilepsy, our message to you this year is you are not alone. 60 million people living with epilepsy. You are not possessed by gene, as they call it in our local languages, Mandinka, Wayo, or Jinasasa, or they call it in Wolof as Danurapt. You are not, and you will never be one of them.
Sirif Sane and Kadi Drame, both third-year medical students, said misconception and wide false beliefs about the disease often contributes to the stigma surrounding epilepsy, as many people assume that epilepsy is a mental disorder that is contagious. Hence the need to dispel these false beliefs by sharing facts about epilepsy and challenging public misconception about the disease.
We are affected either directly or indirectly, either a family, a friend, or someone we know. So it's quite important, and I expect everyone here to able to educate others about epilepsy.
Epilepsy, also known as seizure disorder, is the fourth most common neurological disorder and one of the oldest known medical conditions. The condition causes electrical activity in the brain to stop for a short time, which leads to recurrent seizures. Even though 65 million people in the world live with epilepsy, there is still some stigma around the disease. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Omar P. Jallo.